If you're watching this video, you already know motions are the engines that drive your meetings forward. You may have watched my video, 6 Steps to Action, but we're left wondering, exactly how do I get my motions in front of the assembly for discussion? Well, wonder no longer. This video will answer in detail the steps required to properly get your motion in front of the assembly so that you can get down to the real work: debate, decision, and action. All right, let's dive into it. You've got an idea, a really good idea, and you've gone through the Smart Motion framework to turn your idea into a clear and crisp motion that's ready to be discussed. But what do you do first? Step 1, seek recognition. In this step, you are going to be seeking to be recognized by the chair or the presiding officer. From a very generic standpoint and from what the parliamentary authorities say, you will wait until there is no pending business on the floor, and you will stand up and address the chair. Your organization might have a specific name or title for your presiding officer, but it is always in order to refer to them as chair. Now, let's be real. In most organizations, you're not going to be standing up and sitting down constantly. It might be a smaller group. The assembly may not be very large. It might be a smaller board that we're talking about. In these cases, you'll probably be sitting around a table comfortably, and it's entirely appropriate to raise your hand in order to seek recognition from the chair. You may also be in a situation where you have individual microphones. These mics might have little buttons that allow you to notify the presiding officer that you wish to speak, in which case you will wait for the chair to turn on your microphone, and then you can feel free to address the chair from there. In all cases, in this step, you are looking to be recognized by the chair before you do anything else. Step 2, receiving recognition. In this step, it's the chair's responsibility to recognize you. You've asked to be recognized, and now the chair will recognize you. This is because there may be a number of members who are looking to speak and seeking recognition from the chair at or about the same time. So it is the chair's responsibility to designate who gets to speak next. Chairs, it's important from a fairness standpoint to be consistent in how you recognize the next speaker. So think about how you want to recognize speakers and members and apply that consistently in all your meetings. The chair might address you by your name or your title if they know you. In larger groups where chairs may not know everybody by name, they may refer to where you are. So if there's room mics, they may say speaker at microphone number 1 or speaker at microphone number 2, something like that. In all cases, it is the chair's responsibility to recognize the member and to assign them the floor. By assigning the floor to a specific member, this just means that it is now that member's turn to propose a motion. Step 3, motion is proposed. Now, remember that the correct form of a motion starts with the words, I move that. So, for example, I move that the organization buys a whole new set of bookshelves to replace the old deteriorating bookshelves, or something along those lines. Statements that begin with, I think that, or I feel we should, they should not be treated as proposing a motion and should be treated as proper for debate and discussion after the motion has been put forward to the assembly. So chairs, at that point, you may wish to interject and ask the member if they wish to propose a motion, and remind them at that point that if they do want to put a motion forward, they should start with the words, I move that. At this point, if the meaning isn't clear to either the member themselves, the presiding officer, or the group, there's a chance to have a little bit of back and forth between the chair and the proposing member to try to find the right words to find clarity. In fact, if members are struggling to understand what is about to be proposed, chairs, you may want to consider a 5-minute recess, and you can have a discussion with the proposing member and write down the motion in a form that is very clear and concise. Reminder that aside from maybe a few clarifying remarks, discussion on the motion is not in order at this point in time. So once again, clarity and understanding is so key at this point in the process. Take the time to understand what is being proposed, and if needed, chairs, you can request that the motion be put in writing so that everybody understands the wording and the purpose and intent of the motion. Step 4. Motion is seconded. Members do not need to seek recognition from the chair in order to second a motion. In fact, it is entirely in order for another member to just call out second. The requirement to have a second is simply to know that at least 2 members think that this proposal is an idea worthy of consideration by the group. It's not an indication of support for or against, just that 2 people wish to talk about the idea. If the chair notices that nobody has seconded the motion, then it's in order for the chair to call out, is there a seconder for this motion, or is there a second? What happens if there is no second? So the chair is called out, do I have a second? Is there a seconder for this motion? Nobody speaks up. At this point, the chair will say that the motion will not be considered because there is no second for this motion. Now, having said that, if you're moving quickly through ordinary or routine matters and a second isn't heard, the chair can proceed to put the motion in front of the assembly. It's not suggested. Chairs always, in my mind, always try to find a second for the motion so that you don't have to go back and even have conversations about where was the second and why did we move forward. If at any point in this stage a member notices that we're moving ahead and we don't have a second, and they bring that to the attention of the group, then the chair must seek a second. What about committees in an assembly? Well, motions that are put forward by committees in assembly do not require a second. By the very fact that the motion is being proposed by a committee, it is understood that at least 2 people wish for this idea to be discussed. Also, if you're in a very small board or a very small assembly, you may not need a seconder for motions. This is something that you may want to discuss with your board or small group ahead of time. And it doesn't hurt to have it in your procedural bylaws or policies. Step 5, the motion is stated. What I mean here is this is where the chair, the presiding officer, states the motion to the assembly, states the motion to the group. This is where the chair has now taken the motion from the member who proposed it and is giving it to the entire group. It's no longer the proposing member's motion. It is a motion in front of the group. It belongs to the group. And at this point forward, any changes to the motion need to be made by properly moved motions that would alter or set aside the motion. If at this point, when the chair is stating the motion, the member who moved the motion notices an error, they need to speak up right away, immediately correct that error so that the chair can correct the motion. Because once the chair states the motion, that is the official form of the motion moving forward. If there's a discrepancy between what the member moved originally and what the chair states to the group, the motion that was stated to the group by the chair, that is the official form of the motion. The chair states the motion to the group like this: it has been moved and seconded that, or it has been moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. So for example, using our earlier one, it has been moved and seconded that the organization purchase new bookshelves. Now remember, it is always useful to have motions written out so that the chair can be clear and precise when stating the motion, so that all the members of the assembly or of the group know exactly what it is that they will be talking about and what the intention is of the motion. Once the chair has stated the motion and given it over to the assembly, it is ready to be debated and discussed. From here on in, it's referred to as a pending motion or a pending question, and it is now time to enter into the important work of discussion, debate, decision, and finally action. And those are the 5 steps to presenting a motion. This is how you can properly get your idea in front of the group for discussion and debate. These 5 steps have been taken from this parliamentary authority here. It is the American Institute of Parliamentarians Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure, 2nd edition. This is one of the parliamentary authorities that are out there that you can choose to adopt as your organization's parliamentary authority. We'll talk about how to do that in another video. And if you're unclear as to what a parliamentary authority is, check out my video on that called Your Meetings Need a Map. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section. And with that, check out one of these 2 videos here or here. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.